Alright, so we got that diameter to 243. That's plenty good. Then we got our major diameter here, and so now we need to mark where we're going to bring this down. Actually, I need to flip it around. I need to part it off. I don't know if I want to part it off in this thing though. Let me cut this off and then I'll come back. Alright, I'm going to part this off. This plate isn't real rigid, so we'll see how far we can get before it starts chattering. Much better than I thought it would. How loose are we? Yeah, we still got loose. Yeah, that's about the end of my reach there. Yeah. That's just coming up around. Yeah, got about 40 thousandths of clearance right there. So that's about as far as we're going to get on that. So I should be able to just pull this out, and maybe I'll be able to bust that off. I don't want to mar it. I'll probably just get a hacksaw and I'll finish it off. Yeah. I don't know if you can see around me or not. Let's see here. Not really. I'll saw that. Shouldn't be too much left. There we go. Yeah, we had about 1/4 of an inch to go. Yet again, small lathe, small tooling, but it actually did really well with that. Much better than I anticipated. So now I'll reset up and then I'll face that. Original, kind of make up a plan of what I'm going to do, and I'll probably just go mark this up. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out, and I've got my cut off, my parting tool in there again. Again, this doesn't have to be exact, I'm just trying to get close. Alright, so my major diameter will be back up here, so I'll get ready to mark where that is, and then I'll calculate what this major diameter is. I'll turn this whole piece to that, and then I'll figure out where this delineation point is. I'll mark it, and then I'll use a file to round that over. Alright, so here we go. Mark this. again, this doesn't have to be exact. I think that's, oops, didn't do that. We'll mark that. Since I'm marking that, I might as well bring it to the depth that I want to have that at. So let me get a couple measurements here. Top of this, I'm going to go a little big. Looks about 825. We got lots and lots of room here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to. Why bother? We'll just turn that to that dimension that we need, and then we'll go from there. So, how many times can you drop one piece? Ah! Quite a few, obviously. Alright, so I'm going down here as widest point. I'm just rolling around. Alright, we're currently at 1 inch 150, and so I got about 100 thousandths to go. And I'll do about 25. Sanity check should be at 1 inch 1 inch 50, or 1 inch 50. All right, good, perfect. That's where I wanted it to be, so we're good with that. All right, let's swap this out. Yeah, this dial, when you dial 25, it cuts 25 per side, so it cuts 50. The other one is direct dial. I use the other one more than I use this one. Alright, so let's lock that in. Let's pull this back. And then let's, you guys seeing everything that you need to see? Yeah, I think so. Alright. So now I'm going to come over here. And again, I'm going to just nest this little puppy right up here. And look at what do I want that to be. And in actuality, what I might do, that's about 375. Yeah, I think I want a little bit more than that, honestly. I want just a little bit more. And then I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and mark it, and then we'll set it up in the mill, and we'll cut the flats, and then I'll come back here, and then I will do the final profiling. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Again, this is all to the eye. There's not really anything that I particularly need out of this. What I could do is go ahead and set up and cut the angle. I could go ahead and cut that as an angle. I think I'll do that. Much should I leave there? It's half an inch. So if I use a half, yeah. So I use a half an inch end mill, and we'll. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to set this up in a 5C collet block if I can find one that's got a hex shape to it. I'm pretty sure I have one. And then I'll go ahead and cut the flats. And then once the flats are cut, then I'll stick it back in the lathe, and we'll finish profiling everything, and then we'll polish it up real nice. And that will allow me to break the edges on the hexes as well, which is kind of important. All right, so back in a little bit. Yeah, there's my big lathe over there. Cadillac lathe. It's what is it, Taiwanese, rebranded. Pretty good lathe. I don't have a DRO on it either. So, you know, for something small like what we've been working on, the little lathe just is a little better option for me. All right, we're back over here in the vertical mill, and what I've got is a hexagon collet block, and so what this will do. What the hell? Oh, that's not. That's an R8, not a. Let me get a 5C, not an R8. That's too funny. So anyhow, what this does is it will sit up in here, and I'm going to oil this just a little bit. Make life a little easier. All right, here we go. So our overall dimension is 1,050. 1,050. Flip shoot. 1 inch 50 thousandths. Our diameter across the flats is 0.875. So minus 0.875. So I have 175 thousandths to take off. I want to take half off of each side. So times 0.5 give me 0.0875. So I'm taking about 87 thousandths off of each side. And so what I'm going to do, just to make sure I didn't screw this up, is I'll probably take about half of that, and then I'll flip the thing, and then measure it, see where we're at, make sure that it is what I think it should be, and then we'll go back in and we'll cut the last little bit. So here we go. Alright, so alright, get this set up. Raise this up. Let's go ahead and rotate that around. There we go. Alright. And then bring that into there. And I think that'll be fine. Alright. And then let's just, I'm going to go start the phase converter. Be back in a moment. Alright, here we are. So we're going to go ahead and zero everything out except from the Z. phase converter keeps shifting polarity for whatever reason. So I'm just going to go until I touch off, and then I'll zero them out in a Z. Alright. So 87 thousandths is what we're looking for. So I'm going to take roughly half. I'm going to take 40. A little over 40. And then just going to walk it across. Flip it over to the other side. That'll help if I cut that off. Now, I should have put a dang it. That's all right. Yeah, I should have put a stop, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a stop in. Be right back. Alright, folks, so I should have thought about this before I kept going. So I'll have a consistent shoulder. I need to set my X. I need to stop for my X, right? And so what I've done is I've got the other square block, and all it is it's a reference, right? And I've got a little block there, so that holds my X from sliding. So all I have to do is change this block around, and then this sets my X distance. Zero out my X. And so now, because I changed everything, I had to go back in. That's off on the top. I'm going to take 40 thousandths, and then we'll measure it and see where we're at. And then I'm going to switch to another side and verify that I did that. So again, this helps if you think it out before you start cutting. But it's okay. That's why I did a preliminary pass just to try out what I was doing and make sure I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And so, no harm done. Just, I could have thought about it a little in advance. All right, so let's feed 40,000, and then we'll measure and see where we're at. There's 40 thousandths. Everything's firmed up. 40 thousandths might be too much. I'm seeing it start to wiggle a bit. I'm going to go ahead and drop it. I'm going to take 20. And then I'll take another pass for 20. Because remember, I've only got just a little 1/4 inch shaft in there being held by the block, so not a whole lot of holding power. Alright. That, so let's pick up the other 20. let's measure that and see where we're at. All right, so I pulled it out, measured it. We're just under 100 thousandths to go. What's my measurement here? So 875 is what we're looking for, and I'm at 985. Yeah. No, I'm at 975. Yeah, 975. So I got 100 thousandths to go. So we'll do 40 thousandths, and again we're gonna do this 20 thousandths at a time again, because you know it was wanting to get a little wiggly, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back it up to 20 thousandths. We'll cut, move, cut, move, cut, move, and drop 20 thousandths, cut, move, cut, move, cut, move. So anyhow, a little boring, but you know, and again, slow, incremental. You know, if you just go straight to depth, that's when you find out, oh, I miscalculated, I didn't think about this or that or the other thing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put this, I'll fix this cut, and then I'll go ahead and go to time lapse. So again, I just got taking 20,000. Just going to take it nice and easy. Time lapse. Here we go. This is going to take a little bit of time. Well, so that, yeah, I didn't have enough holding force on there, and it caught, and then once it caught, it just walked itself around. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just, it's frustrating. So now, you know, I got to do a plan B on this. I really don't want to remake the whole thing, but I might have to do that. You know, this is the stuff that happens. You know, if I had left that 1/4 inch, maybe you know, a 1/2 inch, I'd have had a lot more gripping force on it, and that could have saved the day on this. I mean, this isn't totally scrap. I mean, like I said, I still have a lot to go to get to full depth. You know, and this collar, you know, I can, it's still savable. It's just not, you know, it's not ideal. I'm a little disappointed. But anyhow, that's the way things roll. So let me regroup and figure out what I'm going to do. All right, hey folks, welcome back. So, you know, hey, it's all part of it. You know, you're going to make mistakes, and it really helps if you think things out. And, you know, honestly, I didn't thoroughly think the process through, and so, you know, I paid for that. And so, you know, I could salvage that. It would be, you know, a little smaller. You know what? It's scrap. It's fine. So if I'd have thought about this beforehand, I would have said, you know, there's not a whole lot of holding power on this little 1/4 inch nubbin. And so I don't really need my hex 5C collet holder because my parent stock is hex. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn down, you know, very much the same way that I did here. I'm going to turn down the big diameter, and then I'm going to turn down the smaller diameter here, and then I'm going to leave my little nubbin for later, and I'll come back, and then once I have this Actually, I'll be able to chuck this in there. I'll be able to cut my hex. Then I can come back in and I can chuck that hex right in my 3-jaw chuck, and then I'll turn down the other piece of it and I'll part it off, and life will be good. You know, again, I thought it through, but I didn't think it all the way through. And, you know, I paid the consequences. So 2 hours worth of work, you know, it's not the end of the world. And honestly, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm not upset about it. I mean, not happy about it, but it is what it is, you know. You live and you learn. You know, it's been a minute since I've done much in the machinery world, and so some of those skill sets and thought processes are a little rusty. But you know, that's why we're watching these videos, to watch other guys make these stupid mistakes that you're like, oh, that's not gonna work. Yeah, and I think I said earlier, you know, that 1/4-inch nubbin doesn't have a whole lot of holding power. I hope this works. It didn't, and you know, I paid the price. So here we go. Cindy's gonna run the camera for me, so hopefully we'll get a little better shots on what's going on, and we'll go from there. Thanks. All right, here we go. Take 2. Oh, it's always something. All right, and so again, you know, it just doesn't have to be absolutely accurate. I just want to be close. I think that's good enough. All right, so I'm just going to make a mark here, and I'll move it in quite a bit, but not to full depth. That was done. I put it right back where I needed to be. All right. All right, here we go. Little interrupted cut. Helps if you lock that down. I have to say that parting tool cuts really well. Alright, so we're going to turn that down. See if I can get a measurement off of this, of what I have. So that's 1 1/4, 1.250, 1 inch, 250 thousandths. So we'll go ahead and shoot for that again. Folks, so couldn't for the life of me figure out why in the world that wasn't cutting well. Grabbed the wrong cutter, got back in. This is probably a lesson in how not to machine. Getting kind of frustrated. Probably a good time to call it for the night, but I'm going to try to push through and get this done for the evening. A lot of little mistakes, but you know, again, it's the little mistakes that wind up with scrap parts. So learn from me, plan your stuff out, and you know, think 3 steps ahead. Alright, let's see what that gets. Oh yeah, that's much better. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why in the world it was cutting so poorly. And I grabbed a different cutter. So yeah, that's much better. Alright, let's see where we're at. Alright, I'm about 1/347, and I'm going to be at 1/250. So just under 100,000. Finish this out. Still kind of frustrating. All right, let's see where we're at. Again, I don't have a DRO on either of my lathes, so we're just using. All right, so I got 1.264, so we're pretty close. And I don't necessarily trust the dials on here, so it's just take half of what you need, measure, take half of what you need, and then finish it up. So there we are. That's probably 10 thousandths. Where we're at. So we should be down to about 5 thousandths, I think. About 3 thousandths, so that ought to get me right on it. Might be just a hair under, that's fine. Yeah, it's just taking a whisker off. Yeah, 1.251. You know what? I can live with that. That's close enough. It's just, again, it's the major diameter for that ring. Where's the other original piece at? I took it over there. But anyhow, it's just a ring there. It's not anything that has to be of dimension. All right, so now what I need to do is figure out where that thing in the drawer, so I'll pick it up again. Let's bring this out here, and then let's figure out where the end of that ring was. I should have turned that down a little further, but it's okay. Alright, so let's just use, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I should have turned that down a little further. It's fine. So we're just going to use that. Alright. We'll make a little demarcation. And then we're going to shoot this. I wanted 1,050, 1 inch 50 thousandths on this diameter. Alright, so I got about 200 thousandths to take off of that. Yeah, that's right. Alright, touch off. 1" 150 thousandths. Getting close. About 8 thousandths. More or less yeah. Alright, that should be it. I might be a little under 5,000 or so. We'll see. Again, I'm leaving a lot of extra meat there. In case I do something boneheaded, which, you know, we've seen tonight that I've done a lot of boneheaded stuff. Alright, there we go. A thousand's under. I'll take that. I'm good with that. Alright, so let's see, I'm going to figure out where the edge of my this. Okay. And this is just to give me a little data when I set up in the mill. So basically what I'm looking for is about a 1/2 inch. Yeah, 1/2 inch should clean it up nicely. So I can take a 1/2 inch end mill like I did earlier before I screwed it up. Only now I don't have to use a 5C collet block. I can just chuck this up in the mill and go to town. So let's go do that. Set back up in the mill, and so basically what I've got is I've got a thin parallel on the bottom because the vise has a dip in the middle of it, and so that gives me a flat surface that I can write everything on. I'm still using this block as a stop, and I have a stop on the back side of it so that I'm repeatable across here. Or at least I will be when I tighten it up. No, I won't, because... Alright, so I had to find something else to serve as a stop. My cat now decides that she wants to be lovable. She'll probably smack me in a minute. So, you know, I was using that block, but it just turns out it just happens to be the same width as this, and so I didn't have a real firm hold on that, and so I didn't really want to repeat it the last time where it caught and pulled it out. So I've got these larger blocks, and I just got it set in there, and I've got a stop on the back side of that to keep it in place. And so now we're going to do that same thing. Get that crimped nice and tight. We're on the flats on the bottom. I'm very close there. I'm going to go turn on the phase converter, and then we'll start, because that's where I want to be. Yeah, that's good. Go and start it up. Let's see if the phase converter switched polarity on me again. Nope. Alright. So now I'm just going to bring it up until I touch, and then I'll zero out my Z-axis. It shouldn't be that more than about 5,000. There you go. Just touch. Alright, the Z-axis, I'm going to go ahead and come up off of there, and let's go ahead and I'm still going to go with 20. I'm a little gun shy now. The reason I'm doing 20 instead of 40, is that I'm holding this on the edges of that, and so, six one, half dozen another. I could hold the, you know what, I'm going to switch that. Yeah, I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to hold the flats here, and then I don't have to worry about that. So let's come back to that. It's just it's a better holding option. I mean, this works, but again, I really want to take some meat. Okay, but what that did do is it now moved the center line up, because now I'm standing on a chine as opposed to lying on a flat. Again, you can machine it either way, but once you start with one way, well, that's what you got. All right, now let's just get it up close. That's nice and snug. Yep, snug. Let's bring it over, and let's bring it up close. All right, there we go. And let's just touch off. All right, there we go. So that made 100,000ths difference. So let's go ahead and take our 40, because we can now. At least I hope we can. All right, there we go. That 40. Turn it off. Roll it to the next side. There it is. I got it pressed up against my little backing plate. And here we go. So this should make for a nice consistent shoulder. Alright, there we go. Like it. And just safety thing, make sure that thing has stopped moving before you reach up in there. I had a good friend of mine who reached into one and chewed him up pretty darn good. It's not something he'll ever do again, I can tell you. looks like one more. All the way up against the backstop. All right. One more? Not sure. Looks like maybe I have one more. No, I think we're good. Yep, we're good. All right, moment of truth. 875, and actually want it to be just slightly less than 875. Slightly less. Looking good. 873. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right, we're going to stick it back in the lathe, and I'm going to work this piece down a little bit. I'm probably going to go ahead and move the taper attachment around, and I'll cut this to the taper, and I'll make blending a little easier, you know, a little acorn-like thing. And then once I have that down, what I'll do is I'll grip the rest of this here, and then I'll turn down the shank of this to what I want. And then, as Tom Lipton would say, Cindy's grimacing at me, Bob's your uncle. All right, let's get back to the lathe. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the parting tool in, and I'm going to clean up this edge here where we got a little bit of chips left, and I'll stop. I'm going to reset my compound so that I can cut an angle across here. It just makes it easier for me, and then I'll finish shaping it with a file. So here we go. And like I said, all I'm doing this for is just to kind of clean that up a little bit. Need a clear demarcation. Clean that up nicely. Make sure I got a good grip on this. Not going to get it any tighter. All right, so I've got this set up. I didn't even look at the angle. I'm just, you know, again, I'm trying to save myself a little bit of effort. And problems with these small lathes is that, you know, it's always a compromise. And so, you know, looking at clearance on the chuck, I literally would have liked to come around and come over here, but I don't have enough travel in the cross slide to get that and come back over. So I got to do this a little backwards. It'll work just fine, but again, you know, it's always a compromise. That's one of the problems with these small lathes. But you know, you just have to think about it and try different things to see what works. All right. So what I've got to really watch out for is clearance back here. As I come back towards the back part of this, you know, my clearance is getting pretty small. See if this will even cut. this out just a little bit. I got the general shape going on, but let me set this back to its normal setting, and then I'm going to take this down and then I'll finish rounding it up. So it's a little taller, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, looking good. I'll actually have to polish these. It'll be some fine file work just to take the machine marks out of it. But I'm liking that. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to flip it around now, and I'll grip it here, and then we'll turn this down so we can get our coordinate. Stop it. All right, so go ahead and started to part this off, and got as far as I could get with that cutter again. You know, small lathe, small tooling. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm holding in these, and that's another reason why I didn't clean these up yet, because you know I'm going to get a little bit of a mark from the jaws on there. Now I'm going to clean this up, and you'll notice that there's just a little bit of wobble. I'll clean all that up, because again, none of these dimensions are, other than the 1/4 inch, is critical. So got a little bit of wobble in there. Holy cow! All right, I'm not even going to try to single point off of this lathe. Go. And it's even reasonably square. All right, folks, back on the press today, the book press. Got the acorn nut roughed out, and so now I'm just going to polish it up a bit. Boy, what a so I had the, you know, it was a whole one piece, and you know I had the issue, or you know, this one slipped in the milling setup, and so you know I did the other one a little differently, and wound up bending the stem on it and trying to straighten it up, and just I wound up breaking it off. So I had to I wound up drilling the thing out and putting the bolt in there, and you know, it is what it is. End result will be the same, but I would have preferred it to be one piece, but that's, you know, it's life. But anyhow, here we go. I think I'll probably go ahead and put you guys on time lapse. All right, let's see here. So I'm going to take it to the buffer, and I'll buff that out. It's not perfect, but you know, it is what it is. I'm pretty happy with that for what it is. Can I get this to the, there it goes. That doesn't look too bad. Time I buff it up, it'll look a lot better. Hey folks, alright, so Went and hit that on the buffer. You know, it's not perfect. I could spend a little bit more time getting all the small scratches out of it, but you know, in all honesty, you know, this isn't going to be a $1 million build. This is going to be, you know, I just want it to look decent. And like I said, if I spent another hour on it getting all the fine scratches out, you know, with 400 grit on it to probably 1,000, I could make this thing shine like a diamond in a goat's butt. But that's not the purposes. I just want it to look good. So I'm pretty happy with that. And so moving on. All right, so I just trued up the end of our little mandrel here, our screw part, and I cleaned out that. She sits nice and flush, so looks good. Tomorrow the new handle will come in, the new hand wheel will come in, we'll get that fitted. I'm going to finish up today cleaning up the last little parts of the press, which, you know, is the arch and then the plate itself. But those shouldn't take too much. Anyhow, back in a moment. Yeah, I just touched her up on the buffer and shined up real nice. I'll go ahead and do the other one as well. Alright, the not so fun part. I'll wire brush it first, and then I'll do a flat disc on it. Again, I'm not trying to get it perfect, just cleaning it up a little bit. And there will be some pits. It is what it is. You know, it's 100 years old. It's sat out in the weather forever. I'm okay with that. Bearings on my grinder are about to go. All right, on to the flat. All right, folks. Got everything, pretty much as good as it's going to get. I could have done some body filler on the parts, but again, this is going to be something that I use. I want it to look nice and be presentable, but I'm not going to the extreme. So off camera, I made a couple of the little leather pieces to go in here that serve as kind of a buffer, and so I think it's time to actually put this thing together, and so that's what we're going to do. Let's see what we can get done. Let's see if I can get you a little closer. Alright. Alright, so first and foremost, this guy's got to go in. Sit in there. So he's captured. I didn't paint the bottom of this yet. I don't know if I will. I may or may not. I don't really know. I probably will. At a later date. I went ahead and ran a dye over those threads. It was 1/2 inch, 13. And they cleaned up pretty good. I should have run a tap through these nuts, but I didn't think about it until now. Let me get a crescent wrench. These don't have to be super tight, I just want them snug. We'll call that good. I had a little piece of some birch 3/4 inch plywood. Actually, it's not. Yeah, I guess it's 3/4 inch. I went ahead and cut a piece of it and rounded the corners a little bit so that it's kind of pleasant to hold. All right, now. Matters if that stays on there or not. Alright, so let me get you a different angle. That's alright. Get you in there. Alright, there you go. And I haven't tried to pre-assemble this yet. So we got these two little wedge dealies that'll go in there. And I believe that they will go, yeah, they'll go like that. So this goes up. These little dealies go there. And then that falls down, capturing those. And then I got this little guy. Probably won't know until I get closer. How close I am on that. Alright, so I took this extra piece of leather out because I didn't feel like I was doing what I thought it should. So I don't know. I don't know much about anything, but maybe that I needed a second piece of leather. That could be. Maybe with a hole in it. It's kind of what I'm starting to think. So that maybe one piece more of leather, maybe two, I don't know. I think I'm going to cut one more piece just for giggles. We'll be back in a moment. Alright, I went ahead and cut another piece of leather, and I think that might be just what the doctor ordered. We got that. So our hand wheel will come in tomorrow. I'll get that fitted up. But there it is. It is working. I'm pretty happy.